Greetings, Stalkers, and welcome back to the Grymm Mansion. I am your host with the clear sight, Weird Aldrich, and I am joined this night and all nights.
By Abominathan. Is that... Were you trying to hit on the fact that I don't have eyes?
Not exactly. It
Well,
was more of a
fleshy eyes at least.
clairvoyance kind of thing.
Nice.
No, I feel like I always try to keep in theme with whatever it is we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
So tonight we bring you a tale that could be classified as an attempt at a Lovecraftian horror movie.
I mean, it's a space horror, officially.
Yes, science fiction horror, correct, but in a less literal way. It is cosmic, not only in
Yeah.
setting, but in theme. So, without further ado, tonight we bring you the tale of the Event Horizon. The candles are lit, the circles have been closed, and the words of power have been recited. Let us begin tonight's gathering. Would you like to lead us with the events that brought us up to the year 2047?
Right. Unfortunately, I didn't write them down all, but I know that in around, I think it was 2021, it says that the humanity has managed to colonize the moon, and then sometime later, 2030s or something, they managed to establish colonies on Mars. And then in the year 2040, they effectively launch a mission called the Event Horizon. And the mission is lost near the orbit of Neptune. And then 7 years later, a distress signal was detected from around the same location where the Event Horizon was last seen or last heard of. So we have a mission which is sent to check out the distress signal and the location. It is aboard a ship called the Lewis and
Clark.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So the crew is, and let me see if I get this right, Dr. Weir, who is the designer of the Event Horizon. Captain Miller. Peters, who is the medical technician. Lieutenant Stark, another technician, I think. Cooper, who is the rescue technician. He does, I guess, the repairs and stuff. Ensign Justin, who is the chief engineer. DJ, which is the medic. And Smith, who is the pilot of the Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Yeah. So they're all really annoyed because they were supposed to be on break, I think. They were supposed to be, like, not there. And it was kind of this whole thing was kind of rushed, like, hastily put together, and they ask for explanations by Weir. And Weir explains about the distress signal, and he explains that it's almost certainly from the Event Horizon, which came back. And he explains, because what they know, or what is, I guess, publicly known, is that the Event Horizon... Sorry, no. What is not known, what has been basically undercover this whole time, is that the Event Horizon was the first attempt at faster-than-light travel. And of course, everyone in the crew is like, well, we all know that's impossible. That violates, like, 3 laws of physics and whatever. And Weir is like, he does this whole thing of, like, putting the pen through the journal. We've seen this many times, but I guess this was the 90s, so maybe it was more. He explains that you can bend space-time and then punch a hole through in order to travel very large distances instantly, essentially. And that's what the Event Horizon was supposed to be. There was a core which twisted space-time and I guess compressed it and tore a hole through it using a manufactured black hole or something. I don't know how that's supposed to work, but I guess they figured it out or weirded.
However,
Mhm.
however they did it, it arguably worked.
Yes.
Despite whatever cover up was put in place to erase the fact that the space horizon was lost for 7 years, and it was probably easier to explain than to let the public know what kind of experiences were being
Mhm.
made by the
I have
government
I
or
have to
whatever we
mention
assume.
I don't remember. I think this is only I don't think this is explained, but I think it's implied that aboard the Event Horizon was the wife of Weir,
Yeah.
Claire, who died as supposedly. She disappeared along with the crew.
Yeah, and we get a very cool piece of foreshadowing in the stress signal, right? The Latin phrase "liberateme," or at least that's what the doctor DJ assumes he hears. "Liberateme."
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, which would mean "save me" in Latin. In any case, as soon as they get close enough to
Nep-
enter sublight travel, what's it called? You're the science jargon expert in here.
I mean, they don't end up.
Ion drive is what they call it.
They just Do you mean the Lewis and Clark when it's going there? They don't.
Yeah. When they're put in the pods and he has a little bit of an
Yeah, it's a
hallucination.
cryo sleep. Yeah, they're put in cryo sleep in order to get there and not age,
Yeah,
essentially.
and he has a little vision of the wife, as you were just mentioning,
Mhm.
saying that she seems to be waiting for him um, aboard the Event Horizon or whatever.
Yeah, this is going to become more common.
Yeah. So when they reach it, I found it interesting that they board through gate 13, which has its own implications with death, as I'm sure you all know.
Mhm.
But it's interesting because they reach this. I think they board it around the middle in an arm. She's a very weird ship. It's
Yep.
got a very long
Yep.
corridor in
Yep.
the middle, as supposed to be the black hole's gravity gun. I'm quoting, like putting air quotes in here to explain it a little bit easier.
Mhm.
And they also find a sort of Chekhov's explosive in the bridge,
Yeah,
which
that's
apparently is used in case of any catastrophical failure. The ship would be able to detach itself from the black hole, and the bridge would be used as a sort of lifeboat.
the design is very strange. It is this ship. So the Lewis and Clark is like a relatively small ship. Like I would say it's around maybe the size of maybe slightly bigger than the space shuttle. I don't know. The Event Horizon is like a building. Thing is big, and
Yeah, it's like a skyscraper compared
yeah,
to.
it's like a whole facility essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that is interesting is that I think it's Peters who does a bioanalysis of the ship before they board,
Yes.
and it's very strange because the ship is in essentially temperatures that are like you couldn't live. Doesn't have oxygen as far as I remember correctly, or has a like
It's steadily going down.
yeah, it doesn't sustain life or for very long. And but the biosignature comes back as like it's the entire ship has a biosignature. It's very strange.
It can't really hone in on any precise life forms, but it's detecting life all over the ship.
Yep, it's
Does
very
that make sense to you guys? It's gonna make sense in a little bit.
yeah.
All right, so eventually these guys sort of exploring the ship here and there, and they reach the centerpiece of it, the black hole, which
The core.
apparently activates on its own.
It's
Something that it's
yeah,
very clearly not supposed to do, according to Dr. Weir.
yeah. Specifically, it's the guy who first sees the core is
Justin,
Justin,
baby bear.
and he baby bear, and he enters it somehow. He just like it turns into a surface, and he, as any good horror character, he just puts his hand inside and then gets sucked into it. There's a shockwave that travels
Hello?
that travels up the shaft.
Oh my.
How else am I supposed to say it?
Wow. Did you steal my notes? Who are you?
I I must have gotten a very interesting brain
You drank from my glass, it seems.
some new brain cells here. I don't know who they're from.
Bravo.
And this shockwave essentially damages severely the Lewis and Clark.
Oh yeah, there's like
Yeah.
rips open the hole in its
Yeah,
hull.
and they're forced to board the Event Horizon and stay there to think what the hell they're gonna do.
Problem is that, as we discussed before, the CO2 filters or recyclers, whatever, seem to be shorted out. The ship is not sustaining life for much longer.
Yep.
Right, and so after this shockwave, as you just mentioned, the crew starts having these experiences where they're facing their insecurities, they're facing their fears, things that they regret.
Mm-hmm.
For example, what was
The captain?
no, the one with the son. She had a son.
I think it's Peters who has a son who she left behind or something like that.
Yeah, because apparently they were all pulled during some holiday or some
Yeah, that's
some
it.
all time that they had time
Yeah.
off.
Peters essentially had to replace someone, and she was separated from her son or something like that, so she has that sort of regret. And then Captain Miller has this regret that he left someone die in a fire in a previous mission.
Yeah, the only person he left to die, and afterwards he swore that would never happen.
Mm-hmm.
Something that he mentions later on that he never told anyone.
Yeah. It's like the ship knows their fears. So they do manage to pull Jason out of the black hole.
He's now in like catatonic state.
Yeah, he's still alive technically, but he's in catatonic state. They just cannot pull him back into consciousness.
And while they go about their business and eventually come back to check on him, he's not there.
Oh yeah, he has. Oh, and he actually did had a spasm once. He grabbed. I think it was, I don't know if it was DJ or who it was. And he was like, "It's coming, the dark." But yeah, as you were saying, he wakes up from the coma, or he disappears. His body disappears, and they find him in the airlock without a spacesuit.
Yeah, this guy's essentially just going to put himself out there, and his body's about to blow up, and he seems to be doing it not gleefully, but conscious that this is what's best for him, that whatever follows is somehow worse than suicide by decompression.
Yeah.
But for a single moment after activating the airlock and essentially putting in motion this process that cannot be stopped, he reverts back to Justin, and he seems to be shocked that he's in this position. He doesn't remember how he got here.
Yeah, it seems he was being slightly possessed.
Yeah, by whatever the hell, right?
Yeah.
Then we have to get Captain Miller into the rescue, and he pulls this heroic thing of diving into Justin and back into the airlock to compress him again, essentially. And they have this whole effort of trying to save him, and they end up putting him in stasis. Not very long after this, they find video evidence of what happened when the crew got to the orbit of Neptune. And as they were about to engage the faster than light travel method, they were celebrating, and the captain was speaking in Latin, confirming that in fact it was him.
Yep.
Saying those words, but it's going to become evident just afterwards. The video glitches out when they enter FTL, and when it comes back, it's sort of undescribable. It's as if the crew members are eating each other, tearing body parts away, becoming formless masses of flesh, fused with each other. I know that this is not very visible on the video, but we can extrapolate from the way that they are that the crew of the Lewis and Clark finds them glued to the walls of the event horizon.
Yeah, it's a horrific, bizarre sight, really. And we do see the captain with his eyes. So he had taken his eyes out of the sockets and was presenting them to the camera and saying the actual words in Latin:
Mm-hmm.
"Liberate tuteme ex inferis." Save yourself from hell. So yeah, it was not a distress signal at all.
It was a warning.
Yeah.
Now, in here lies the issue. As Miller starts to confront Weir with what the hells have we just seen, Weir starts theorizing that wherever the event horizon has been, it must have been outside of the known universe.
Yeah, because I think we forgot to mention, but the destination of the event horizon was supposed to be Proxima Centauri. Yeah, that's not at all where it went instead. Yeah, it's outside.
It might have gone there, but it also passed through some place.
Yeah,
that was definitely not the known universe. It's almost as if
another plane of existence, you could say. A certain worse plane of existence, I guess, depending on your perspective, of course.
and whatever it brought back, it's aware and it's connected to the ship somehow.
Yeah, you could say it became the ship in a way. It's now alive, and because they have all these hallucinations and whatever, Peters actually theorizes that the ship is a living creature, and these hallucinations are sort of a defense mechanism, like an immune response to this presence.
The ship is sick.
The humans are the sickness.
The captain decides that it's best, in everyone's best interests, that this ship is destroyed, and they start sort of evacuating the ship. This is when things start going kind of wrong, because Weir doesn't want to destroy the ship. He sees himself as the chosen one of this new god that he's created.
Yeah, he had an hallucination when he was fixing the core, because the core broke down at some point, or it kind of disconnected, and he has this hallucination. Man, he's had these hallucinations, which are more common, of his wife Claire, and in this one, he's genuinely he is sold, because she has no eyes, by the way. She is trying to convince him, stay with me forever, and you can see that his loss, his grief has overcome him, and he's gonna do whatever he can to stay with her forever, wherever that is. And he gouges out his eyes, I think, at this point.
Yeah. He does.
Yeah.
Although we did mention that, or you didn't mention that she was a passenger of the ship, but he also has a vision of her killing herself in the bathroom.
Oh, that is true.
So, perhaps what he sees, like she's waiting for him, maybe in hell. We can save this for analysis later, but
yeah,
remind me, I guess. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's the Peters falls to her death after chasing an hallucination of her son.
Yeah, there's a bunch of deaths that happen. The first one, I think, is actually DJ.
I think it's Peters. I think Peters is the first one.
Or the other guy, the guy that speaks Latin. The DJ is the guy that speaks Latin. It's the technician, the Smith, who was on the LC, because both Cooper and Smith were on the Lewis and Clark trying to repair it, when Weir snatches one of the explosives from the shaft and plants it on the Lewis and Clark, and Smith blows up with the ship, and Cooper is blown way out into space. He's blown out of orbit but he does manage to use the thrusters to get back, which is pretty interesting. This is a pretty funny character. Yeah, then Peters falls to her death, chasing a hallucination of her son.
Weir kills the doctor by
Yep.
cutting him.
Yeah, it was pretty gruesome. He just
Mhm.
he does some nasty things to him, opening him up and stuff.
Then they're in the bridge where he's connected to all of these devices and apparently piloting the event Horizon back to Earth. But they managed to initiate the 10-minute countdown to activate, not to destroy the ship, but to activate it,
Send it back.
and send it back
Yeah.
to wherever it came from.
Yeah, and they have a fight scene.
Cooper comes through the window as you were mentioning. He blew his own tank of oxygen to get back, causing the entire bridge to decompress and sucked out into space.
Yeah, and Weir is sucked along with it. A lot of sucking today.
Yeah, the event horizon is split. It is sent back. Part of it is sent back to wherever it came from, and the rest flies off.
Yeah, we have to mention that. So basically, Captain Miller has decided that to use the explosive to separate the ship and use the bridge as an escape vessel, while the rest is plunged back into hell or wherever it came from. So Stark and Cooper are on the bridge, while Miller essentially sacrifices himself to make sure that the plan works, and he does blow up the shaft and the tunnel. Fine, and so he does.
I'm not complaining.
So he, along with Weir, they plunge into a with the core, with the black hole, all of that apparatus is is sucked into a wormhole that is formed in the surface of Neptune. While Cooper and Stark, the only, and I mean, plus Justin, who's in cryosleep, they were the only survivors as they were watching this unfold. There is one last scene which I find really cool, in which Stark is woken up from cryosleep by supposedly a rescue team, and the guy who rescues her, I think he says something along the lines of "It's over," or what does he say? I didn't actually write this down.
Well, I think he says something like, "It's all fine, you're all fine," but the big reveal is that it's Weir under the mask.
Yeah. When he takes off the mask, he says yeah, he's the delivery and the line is really good, and I didn't write it down, so I don't remember what he exactly says. But it's just like it's this, but it is a fake out. It's actually just a hallucination. But he's such a good. I think that's such a good scene. I think it's the best scene of the movie in my opinion. But
It would have been a great ending. I agree with you.
yeah, but of course, it was.
It would have been.
It was the 90s. You couldn't do that in the 90s.
Yeah, but if you take the last 15 seconds of the movie away, it would have been a great Lovecraftian adaptation.
Yeah, so
don't you think?
You want to go straight?
Yeah, let's go straight into it. Yeah.
The interesting thing about this movie, I didn't really read too much into it, but supposedly this wasn't the original cut of the movie. They had to chop it up. Because they had recorded the movie, they had filmed it and they had edited it, and then they re-edited it kind of hastily to release it because of some like executive stuff. So we don't actually have, or at least we didn't see, the original cut of the movie, and you can actually tell, I guess, that it is maybe a little rushed. Some of the scenes, like you could say that.
Yeah, I agree. The even though it's got a very good cast, the acting is not the best.
Also that, yeah, but yeah, the movie is not like perfect, of course. But I think the premise is the strongest thing. It's just, it has a premise that's so, I think it's very unique. This is a kind of horror.
I think the problem with it, one of the other problems with it, is that it's kind of similar to Alien.
Yeah, it's like Alien meets the Cenobites from Hellraiser. It's, yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of, in a way, it's could also be seen as a homage to Alien because Alien came out like 20 years before this one
Oh man,
or something like that.
you really did.
So you could say that like they were trying to. Oh, and then you had, I feel like at this time, because then you had Aliens come. When was Aliens released? I think it was before this one, wasn't it? Let's see, Alien.
Alien Cube, maybe.
Yeah, okay, but
Um,
yeah, I guess
no, it was
it was
97 was the year of Alien Resurrection,
okay. Yeah, so there was a
which
bit of,
was the crap.
yeah, I think Alien was very recent in the memories of people, so I guess they were trying to also piggyback off of it, maybe some nostalgia factor, maybe I don't know. Definitely, I feel like the movie could have been more unique in that sense if it had tried to be more its own thing. Maybe I guess if they had, I don't know, but to be honest, I there is it is an interesting mix of aesthetics because Alien has, as we know, the H.R. Geiger aesthetic of the biomechanical.
Yeah,
That's pretty like that's a pretty like that's staple Alien. Like that's a pretty iconic thing. They don't
hmm
really do that here, so I guess.
true, of course. But look at the way that the core of this of around
Yeah, the core,
um
the whole. to
you
be
get
honest,
it.
like I think Weir is a closeted goth because he designed this ship and he designed the core. He designed this whole thing supposedly. Bro has such a taste for sharp, pointy things, crazy sigils, like symmetric, like serrated, like the gate that opens
Yeah,
or has
Justin even
teeth
mentions
for
it
some reason.
looks like a meat grinder.
Yeah, and it's like
Hmm.
you didn't. Is this? I think this is just a taste thing. Like, did he really? Was this really the most effective way to design this? I feel like he's got something. I feel like it was already in him way before like they went to way before they activated the hyperspace thing. I feel like the other side was already calling for Weir. Maybe that's why he designed the ship. I don't know.
I
Um,
was just about to ask you, do you know the theory that computer circuitry is the modern summoning circle?
ooh, that's an interesting one.
Or like
Yeah,
a way to bind demons into circuitry, that computers are essentially demons?
yeah, that is an interesting theory. I have to look into it. I haven't really been paying much attention.
Really? Well,
The it is.
later before slumping back into your coffin,
Mm,
check it out
yeah.
and read a little bit about it because it's very interesting, even though it's, most likely just a way for silly humans to have fun on the internet.
Yeah, because
Um,
I feel like it's they're wannabes because I mean we can do that with demons. Like you don't need circuitry, you don't need electricity. Like there's other
yeah,
ways of doing that. So
but it raises an interesting question, which is, well, it raises two interesting questions. One of them was what you just said. Maybe he was already in contact with something else from the other side, but
mm,
my first thought was this was done by accident, as so many human inventions have been.
yeah, that is an interesting theme of this movie. It's essentially one of the central themes is this idea of science going too far, and it's a
As
very
someone would put it, your scientists have wondered for so long if they could. They never stop to bother to think if they should.
yes. Hey, it has the same actor and everything, so it fits.
Well, it's not the same guy who says it, but
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes. It's not the yeah. It would have been funny to see him in this movie, but yeah, it leaves a lot of open questions, and it does make you wonder. Like honestly, like after watching the movie, I did feel maybe it's nostalgia. I don't know, or maybe it is the whole. I don't know. It has this feel of it's very unique. I think
Mm-hmm.
it
Even though it feels familiar, I get you.
yeah, and it feels like this. I don't know. It just gives a really nice feeling of what could be possible. And I guess also the thematic or not the thematic the aesthetic mix, which is something that I'm really a fan of, and I wish people did more. The idea of space ghosts or space mixed with the paranormal.
Supernatural in space.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
science fiction and the paranormal clashing with each other.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
we need more of that.
We're watching Event Horizon because of you. I keep misnaming the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of these very sci-fi flicks, these are all Nathan, guys. He's the one that likes this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
But this is, I think,
but yeah,
more
this movie got me because of the Lovecraftian aspect to
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
There's one thing I did want to mention before I forget, which was I do really think that the ship went to hell, and by hell I mean the Christian hell, even though there's possibly other religions in where people who commit suicide might end up going to versions of hell. But considering that this is an American-made movie
Yeah.
with a Judeo-Christian centered worldview or informed worldview, the fact that Weir's wife committed suicide in a bathtub and she later says, "I'm waiting for you," implies that she went to hell.
Mhm.
And Weir, as this connection to the ship knows what happened to her
Yeah.
because it's been there.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's preying on his fear that his wife has been to hell. There's also the character of Smith.
You mean
What's his name?
the guy that speaks Latin?
Sorry, let me
The
check back to my notes.
Smith is the pilot of Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, the pilot who's extremely religious. He's got the tattoo of an ankh on his back. He's always praying.
Yeah.
He's the one that doesn't want to stay on the event horizon for
He's the one that
for
gets
long because
blown up. Yeah.
yeah, he knows that something is wrong from the very moment he hears that faster than light travel is involved in this situation.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff here, man. And just imagining the guy like Miller because it's not just sacrificing himself. He didn't die. He went to hell to save 3 people. We have no idea what happened to him.
Might still be experiencing.
Yeah, he might
I think
actually having like eternal torture, like
well, that's the idea of hell, isn't it?
Yeah, and Weir did say it's interesting because when Weir becomes this sort of Cenobite type, he says something along the lines of like it's much worse than what you can imagine. Like it's much worse than hell, in the sense of like the depictions of hell that humans made don't do it justice.
It pales in comparison.
Yeah, because yeah, I mean it is an alternate dimension. Like you could only imagine, you could only like we wouldn't have that kind of suffering and pain in this dimension. Only glimpses of it, perhaps only figments of it.
Yeah, I think it's a very underappreciated. At least it was back when it
Yeah,
was
it
released,
flopped.
for sure.
It flopped, and
Yeah, I don't think people were ready for it for this kind. I don't think people are still ready for it because the lack of jump scares, the lack of physical, graphical gore or horror. There's a guy that almost explodes by decompression. Yes, there's a few scenes where someone's holding their own eyes, but
there's quite a bit of gore.
you know, it's the implications, you know?
It's not as it's more
cerebral.
Subtle. It's more subtle than modern movies, but I like that.
No,
like,
I do too. I think that the movie would just never do well.
Yeah.
Maybe in this new age where people watch everything streaming and an entire season is released in one day so people can binge it and you can tell a story that's like 12 hours long and people will still watch it glued to their couches. Maybe you could tell a better version of this story then, but I don't know.
Because there's a certain charm to the fact that it feels very 90s if you look at it.
I agree.
It feels kind of nostalgic to me in a way.
There's this sort of mix between the horror and the action.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish they came back with like a sequel, a remake, or something like that. Because this is one of those that would probably be. I'm not gonna say it would do well better than this one. because I really do still think that most people would not understand this. Like, what's scary about this?
Yeah, it is a very weird kind of movie. It's not the kind of it's a strange mix because it's psychological, but it's also not. It's also like very physical. I think the issue that makes a lot of people maybe not understand is because the evil or the danger, and I think this is good. I think they did this well because they only give us glimpses of it. The danger is completely unseen.
I
We never.
disagree with you.
Huh, really?
I really think you can see the danger. The danger is the ship itself. The evil within is
Sure.
environmental, and I feel like that's another aspect to Lovecraft. It's like the horror is very contained to this place, like the town
Mhm.
under the waxing gibbous moon, where the people look like frogs, or the rural village that everything was turned to gray because of a meteorite that fell.
Yeah, it's very environmental.
Yeah, it's all very contained to these extremely profane places. I don't want to say profane because this ship has technically been in hell, and um,
Well, it still comes from gothic horror. The trope of the like the place, like the haunted
yeah,
house,
and
all these.
people are fighting their own fears. It's like you're
Yeah.
fighting yourself. You know,
It's like it's the haunted house, but instead of a house, it's a ship essentially. In it's not the haunted house in the sense that there's like ghosts in it. I mean, there is, but yeah, but you're right that there's the psychological element of you. The ship is using your own traumas against you. Like it knows you better than anyone.
it knows you better than you know yourself.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a very interesting mix of genres almost, and yeah, it's a very interesting premise. But it's definitely not a premise that's accessible, I guess,
Yeah,
to a lot of people. I think a lot of people
a lot of
would
people would what?
oh, it's a ship. I think a lot of people would laugh at this premise because it's like it's a ship that instead of
Yeah, it's what I'm
like
saying. Most
goes
people are not prepared for this kind of horror because they don't think of the implications of it. Or they're only
yeah,
taking it at face value. It's like,
yeah.
I'm scared in the moment because the movie jump scared me and I had a visceral reaction to it. But it's not the kind of horror that cosmic horror is about, if you don't
Yep,
want to use the
exactly.
term Lovecraftian. It's
Exactly.
there are things about the universe that are vastly more complex and we cannot even hope to comprehend them, because if we do someday comprehend them, we will go mad from the
Mhm.
revelation, to quote Lovecraft himself.
Yep. It's
I'm misquoting,
nowadays.
but it serves
Yeah,
my
but
purpose.
nowadays people want like more direct and obvious, and it's sometimes it feels like they're spoon fed as well. Like
We could even go deeper into not just this movie, but into the movie industry in general, of how there are no more mid-budget movies. If you want that kind of mid-value production, you have to look into the streaming services probably. And even then, I have no idea how their budgets compare to a
yeah,
regular uh, syndicalized TV show, or something like the cheapest of movies that are released on theaters nowadays.
yeah, they don't do them like this anymore.
People don't want to take Studios don't want to take risks,
Yep, exactly.
and that robs us of pearls, absolute gems like this movie here.
Because I think it's a sweet spot in which it's not too big that there's a lot of expectation and a lot of like the publisher or the studio has like a lot of pressure from a bunch of sides to make money off of it, or to give like justice to the legacy of something, and it's not so small that you can do a lot. So it's the sweet spot. Like it's big enough so you have enough budget and enough interest with like some nice. I mean, these are pretty famous actors, pretty big actors at the
And
time.
it still flopped.
It's still flopped,
At
true,
least they
but
took a risk, and this movie is
who
considered
cares?
a cult classic.
Yeah,
You
who
know,
cares?
there's
Yeah,
still people talking about it. 30 years after it's released. I'd say that's pretty good.
Mhm.
It's I guarantee you it's more than people will be talking about whatever Netflix has come up with this week.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And if only studios really realized that and played for the long game, I think that we would all
Mm.
benefit from it. But you know, that's not the purpose of this podcast. That's not what we talk about here. Everything else, just give us horror. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you want to say about Event Horizon?
Go watch it, and don't build a faster than light black hole that takes people to hell. Or maybe do actually. You know what? That would be cool. Yeah, take the wrong message from this movie. Do
That's
it.
usually what corporations and governments do. Why not you? Have fun. Enjoy a little.
Hmm.
How do the kids say it? You only live once. Do they still say that, Nathan?
I don't know. YOLO. It's fun to say,
YOLO.
so I'll keep saying it.
Well, with that, our candles are out. Our circles have been erased. We will let silence reign again.
I forgot to rate the movie.
It's a 10 out of 10. The Grymm Mansion is closing its gates. Have a horrible night until we meet again.